All right, so I'm going to tweet this out if it hasn't already, and double check the link, and then we'll get going here. Actually, where's my screen? There it is. So this stream, to introduce it, is going to be about Mass Effect Andromeda and BioWare and the news that has come out about that. Due to the fact that I've had a ton of people message me, DM me, you know, I've had just people spamming links at me about this. Let me double check. 1 second.
Message me.
Okay, yeah, we're good to go. So the reason why people are sending me links to news articles is actually Uzulu. I will mod you. Okay, you're good, bro. So this is about, and I will share my screen so that you can see the topic. And yes, I'm going to intentionally use a Polygon article. Where the fuck is that button? There it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. So this is what we're talking about. And that is the numerous reports that are very likely to be credible based on the sourcing. I've had people link me to several different people that are reporting the exact same thing that are from multiple sources. So this is more than likely true. That doesn't necessarily make it all true in perfect detail, but it likely means that, you know, this is not mistaken. Because one of the major things that I called on was that Mass Effect Andromeda would not sell, it would be a dud, and that this would end the Mass Effect series for, you know, for the next 5 years, we'll say, just to give a date on it, that it's over. This game sealed the deal. And the day I knew that to be true was when PewDiePie made an entire video mocking it and struggling to just do the video because he was laughing at the game so much. That video blew up and went viral because it's PewDiePie. And it was all over Reddit. It was all over Twitter. It was all over Facebook. It was everywhere, people making fun of this game. It sold like shit. I have seen numerous websites offering 40% or more sales on this game. And it just came out. This is an unequivocal commercial failure for EA, for BioWare. The only saving grace that it has is that they are bilking the idiots playing the multiplayer through microtransactions. That is how they're making their money on this game. And being that it is a terrible sequel, it doesn't matter how much IGN and other networks gin up the rating. People already realize that it's a joke of a game. I didn't finish it. I did not finish it. And I can say the exact same thing about Dragon Age Inquisition, which, by the way, we'll get to that in a second, as it relates to how these two franchises are now all in the same dun. I didn't finish either one of them, and it's because they're both boring. They're unplayable. Mass Effect Andromeda is not the worst game I've ever played, but it is very much boring. It is uninteresting. There's just nothing to it that interests me to continue playing it. So while IGN's giving this a game a 7 and giving Prey a 4, I finished Prey, and I was satisfied enough by it. With Mass Effect Andromeda, you can put as much content as you want to in the game. I'm not going to finish it. It's boring. It's just not interesting. And that, by default, makes it a worse game. When a game cannot be finished because it is so boring, that is a game not worth playing. So, let's just get to this article so I don't ramble all fucking day. At least some of the team at BioWare Montreal, the studio behind Mass Effect Andromeda, is being retasked to other projects. Kotaku reports, citing anonymous sources that have been sourced elsewhere, and that is, it is being scaled down. Scaled down is a polite way of saying downsized, which is a corporate term for layoffs. They're laying people off. Now, when you lay off people at the end of a project, that is not abnormal for gaming, for the video game industry. I've seen many, many, many devs say that they've been laid off at the end of a project. But one of the things that's natural for BioWare is to retain a certain portion of their team, likely due to the fact that they usually recycle the same developers for other projects and for DLC. As far as I can tell, there's no plans for DLC. I haven't heard any fucking plans for DLC. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But the fact that they, in this article, and we'll get to that right now, they reached out to the studio director, and he said that Mass Effect, as a franchise, is now on hiatus. Meaning, there's no plans for future content. There's no plans for sequels. This is their flagship franchise. This is their moneymaker. And they're saying, yeah, we're about done with it. How are they going to make any money? Where is the revenue coming from? That's my question that no one can see. Even people that argue that I'm wrong, you need to defend this. You need to argue, where are they going to make money? Because Dragon Age Inquisition, as a franchise, has been radio silent. And that is likely due to the fact that it is also on quote-unquote hiatus. They're not going to do fuck all with it as a franchise, as an IP. Going nowhere. Because it's sold like dog shit. And it got, mediocre reviews. Outside of, and, Mass Effect Andromeda got worse than I know in comparison to Dragon Age Inquisition. Despite Dragon Age Inquisition being a demonstrably worse game. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that, what your reviews are. It's just a matter of the money you're intaking from these IPs. They could be total fucking shit. So long as you're making money on them, that's all that matters. That's all EA cares about. But the fact is that these games, these franchises, are not making money anymore. They're not. This was a dud sequel. And after an extreme controversial sequel. So that's 2 in a row where it's been a disaster. PR disaster for both. Just in different ways. And yet this game sold worse. And this is the natural outcome of that. This is what I expected. The shuffling that they're going to do, it doesn't matter. They can reshuffle all they want. What the fuck are they working on? What are they working on? What are they doing? What are they going to be doing after this point in time? So some of you are going to say, well, you know what, Louis? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about Mass Effect. Maybe you're right about Mass Effect or Dragon Age Inquisition. Excuse me. What about the upcoming IP that they're working on? Well, if I have the right article here, I may not actually. Yeah. Okay. So here, let me just read this and we'll move on. Okay. The reception to the game wasn't up to par with what we've come to expect from Mass Effect, a fact that was acknowledged by EA CEO Andrew Wilson in this week's post-earnings conference call. So you have the CEO of EA saying, yeah, we're not satisfied with this sequel. We're not satisfied with the result. This is not what we expect. I mean, this isn't localized to BioWare. You have to remember that this is the parent company. And they have the fucking power to pull that trigger and end it. And this, I'm glad I cited this article. It's also GameSpot, cited intentionally, by the way. But let me find and Kotaku also cited intentionally. I need to find the exact article that, oh God, where is it? Pardon me, I didn't have it ready to go. Fucking hell. Where is it? Let me IP delay, because that's the way. Oh, here. Let's go to this. It's also GameSpot. Let me see here. Let's find the paragraph where it says it. Here we go. During the same call by CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, he addressed the delay of BioWare's new IP and spoke about the mixed reaction to Mass Effect Andromeda. The IP that Biodrones are talking about, and is any kind of saving grace of BioWare, has been delayed for at least, according to the reports, from their own admission, at least a year. A year before they're going to fucking even address it. A year. So that is 12 months of zip revenue, other than the fucking few copies they're selling of Mass Effect Andromeda at 40 fucking something % off. And the idiots paying $5 to play Dragon Age Inquisition. That's their revenue source. Everything else is coming straight out of EA's coffers. Okay? Why is it that we're not hearing calls from within EA, and that's not a leak coming out, for this company to just be closed? Downsizing Montreal is not enough. I mean, this company is not making you money. It is not going to make you money by your own admission for another fucking year to where you can even talk about the next IP. It's not making money from its flagship franchise. It's not making money from the dud that is Dragon Age. It's not making money. It's releasing poorly received titles that are being mocked by gaming's elite, by PewDiePie. It's being mocked openly, flagrantly. You look like fucking idiots releasing shit. Which is nothing different for EA, but that's not the reception they want. They want the reception to their games to be positive. And they're getting the exact opposite. It doesn't matter, again, how much GameSpot or Polygon or IGN or whomever gives them a positive rating. It doesn't matter. That's not what translates into sales. It is people like PewDiePie. It is the streamers and the gamers that are showcasing these titles to young folk. The hardcore gamers they're going to buy what they want to buy. You're not going to sell them really much on anything. No one really sells me on much of anything. Even if Prey was a piece of shit, I still bought it. And it's because I am part of that small percentage of people that play games, despite the fact that we're nearly fucking 30. I know that people want to say that's sad, but no, that's a damn identity, damn it. That's part of being a gamer. But as it relates to the young folk, they rely on the interpretation and the reception of people in alternative media, people on YouTube, people on social media, people on Twitch. They look to those people to tell them and showcase to them whether the game is good or bad. And universally, outside of progressives that you can find, and they do exist out there in gaming, outside of them, it was poorly received. It was mocked. It became a thing. The zeitgeist of the moment to mock this piece of shit game. Rightly so, because it's a piece of shit. They weren't wrong to do it. It's a piece of garbage. And so the question is, when is EA going to pull the trigger? I mean, look at this. As for the BioWare's new IP, EA announced today that it would be delayed to come out between 2018 and 2019. It's not going to be coming out. And either one of those. March 2019, it's not happening. At the bare minimum, 2020. That's when this is going to fucking come out. That's how many years we have to go before the new IP has any chance of releasing Because every single one of these sequels have been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and they've still come out full of bugs. Mass Effect Andromeda updated this morning, and it had a shitload of like fixes and all that sort of thing. It's because they're rushing them as much as they can, and it doesn't matter. And so when people send me these links and they say that they want me to cover this, you know, this is what I've been saying all along. I'm just surprised that they're not going further, that it's just Montreal being downsized. You know, what are they going to do with Edmonton? What the fuck are they even working on? Austin, as I've said, is Star Wars: The Old Republic. That is what it is. That's what they do down there. It makes sense. It's still making a profit despite how shaky that. I'm sure they addressed that in the call now. I'd like to hear about that, whether Star Wars: The Old Republic is still even turning a profit at this point. I'd like to hear that, you know. But as it relates to this company, you know, I'm not here to brag. I'm not here to laugh. I'm not here to say, oh, I'm right. I am, because that's the title of the stream. But it's to say that this is what you should expect. It's written on the wall. This company's not making money. But the thing is, right, and I've said this before, excuse me, that with BioWare, this has been the company for the last 5 fucking years. Why is it that they closed Maxis when Maxis is still championing $1 billion fucking IP with The Sims? The Sims is still making fucking money. And I wouldn't be surprised if they pointed that out in the earnings report, that The Sims was making a lot of fucking money. Despite its issues, it's making money. And despite the fact that the game's not selling as good as it used to, in comparison to The Sims 3, as far as I know, still making money, still doing well, still $1 billion fucking franchise, still selling millions of copies. And yet with this company, they can't do it. With BioWare, they can't do it. And so, excuse me a sec while I mod Kraut and T here. Why then does this continue? Why do we continue to see EA delay what is the inevitable? This is, as I've continued to say, an inevitability. You will close this company. It is not making fucking money. It is not winning you favors. It's not winning you fans. It's not getting you good PR. It is doing nothing for you. It's not making you any fucking money. Why do you continue to delay this? So I will head to chat to see if there is anyone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now, because you have my attention. There's someone in the chat named Marauder Shields. That's an old school name, bro. That takes me back. That was one of the only decent memes to come out of that whole shit show that was Mass Effect 3, Marauder Shields. Oh man. Someone asked if there's going to be DLC. I haven't heard any plans for it. I'm not going to fucking buy it, that's for sure. But I haven't seen any signs of it. And downsizing the fucking company, or the studio, and people push back at me to say, like, oh, Louis, you don't know what you're talking about. Look at BioWare Montreal. Like, they're the new fucking thing on the block. They're the new studio on the block, Louis. You're wrong. It's like, yeah, they just downsized it. What now? I mean, I'm sure that it's going to serve some purpose, and maybe I think they said that it was working on the next Battlefront or fucking whatever, but it's like, yeah, maybe they're doing some like tertiary fucking, they're playing some tertiary role. Maybe that they're you know, having some actors come in and voice some grunting for the soldiers. But what is that? You know, why not just scuttle the fucking studio? You know why? I'll tell you why. And here's the answer to my own question of why don't they close this studio. Okay. It's the equivalent of this. When you hire someone and you find out soon after that it's a bad hire. This person is fucking incompetent. They're a loser. They're just blatantly incompetent. The problem that you then have is if you fire them immediately, which you should do because they're not competent, it reflects poorly on you. So you actually have the perverse incentive to keep them on, at least for long enough that you can actually find a suitable replacement, or you just say they're fine and you deny the fact that they need to be replaced. Because again, it reflects poorly on you. You're the one that pulled the trigger and gave them the job. That's what's going on right now with BioWare Montreal. Somebody made the poor choice of creating a whole other studio that is now completely fucking redundant. They just downsized it. What purposes does it serve? When you have BioWare Edmonton, you have BioWare Austin. What is? Are there no open offices in those two studios? None at all? They have to have this Montreal studio? No, not at all. This is the equivalent of a bad hire, a bad decision somebody made that doesn't want to scuttle it immediately because they just opened it, because then that raises questions. By whom? The shareholders. Now they have to say, how many millions of dollars that we just invest in this fucking studio and you just scuttled it? What the fuck's going on? If they start asking questions, you may have to start actually giving answers about this fucking terrible, unprofitable studio. Maybe that's just pure speculation on my part, but that's what I think is going on with at least BioWare Edmonton. So let's scroll down. Let's find some questions. Oh yeah, the alpha footage. That was so here I'll just mention this. Let me find it. So this was something that came out through a leak, and this actually happened a long time ago, but it's recently become a story because it was actually found out that it was true. What was originally just speculated as potentially alpha footage is actually alpha footage. Let me see if this is a decent article. 1 second. No, this isn't it. Well, I can't find it, but essentially what happened was that some alpha footage came out, and someone did a YouTube video on it, and it went all over Reddit and shit. And then from there, the game came out, and they basically pieced the alpha footage and the footage from the actual game itself. They put it side by side. And outside of a few different details, the textures within the alpha footage, some of it was actually demonstrably better than what was in the final product. And what that does is it creates the, the real question of what happened. Why does alpha footage look better than the final version? That is not something that happens. That is not a thing, and yet it happened. The animations were demonstrably better, or at least on par. What happened? The textures on the Krogan, I remember specifically, were better in the alpha than in the final version. What happened? The answer that the YouTuber that I watched the video on that did the comparison, his conclusion was lack of talent, brain drain from the company. And I absolutely concur. That's been the problem. You've had everyone worth a shit leave the company. And now they're left with diversity hires and the incompetent and the holdovers, the leftovers. That's all they have left. And that's what you get in the end. You get an unpolished crap product full of bugs that people mock because it's so poorly made. That's what you get. Anything else on here? Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but I just uploaded. Excuse that. Oh, shit. Anyways, forget about that. I just uploaded a video on my main channel on the Colin Marotti rant that people have been asking about for quite a while now. That's now up. I've asked in the description of the video that people do not contact Colin, do not send it to Colin, do not try to have us engage in any kind of debate, do not have us do anything of any kind, because I don't want to. I'm not interested. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I don't have the like I said, just the patience to do it. I just don't. I don't want to talk about the guy anymore past this point, past that video. And that's really all there is to it. So feel free to listen to the rant. Feel free to give an opinion. You know, I don't care if you want to leave a comment, disagree with me. You're fully within your right to do it. I'm totally fine with that. I think it's an issue that can be debated. And like, I make a million caveats in that video to say that I'm really blinded in some ways by my emotion based on the controversy originally and how angry I am because of that. But you know, I don't want to have any kind of contact with the guy. I just don't. He's one of the only exceptions that I'll make in terms of people that I don't want to engage with. You know, I'd be fine with engaging plenty of other people. Despite my previous misgivings with Eric Kane, I'd hang out with Eric Kane anytime. I wouldn't go after Eric Kane. I wouldn't say anything that would rile him up or anything else. Maybe if he said something worth commenting on, I would do it. But I wouldn't, you know, be mean-spirited to Eric Kane. I forgot who it was that Sargon was trying to do a stream with. And I actually said that I wouldn't mind being involved. I forgot who it was. Somebody, it was, oh God, Kyle Kalinske, Secular Talk. That would be another person. I could do a stream with him. I could do it. You know, Jimmy Dore, I could do it. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. But in the case of Colin, it's just out of the question. You know, I couldn't do it. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I know. More art. It's more arty. I can't pronounce it, and I don't know why. I know that people say it's extremely easy. I'm gonna have to close this. It's fucking popping up. Excuse that. Probably should have closed that to begin with, but in any case, yeah. I can't pronounce his fucking last name, and I know it's not that hard. Any specifics about Mass Effect's Andromeda is story that you hate? Hated? I just don't think I was interested. I think that was the majority of the problem. I'll probably just stop screen sharing. The majority of the problem was that it just bored me. It just wasn't interested. And it wasn't interesting. And unfortunately, it couldn't keep my attention. And that was really the end of it. It was just mediocre and boring. So that's pretty much my opinion of Andromeda. Just there's not a lot to it. Mora RT. I really we should probably drop it just because it makes me look like a fucking. I should be wearing one of those "Please be patient, I have autism" hats. What are you gonna start a podcast with Kyle? That'd be, oh my god, bro. That would be every episode would be two people screaming. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine a podcast with, let's say, Kyle Kalinske and myself and maybe someone like Jimmy Dore? Could you imagine that podcast? Oh my god, bro. We'd agree on some things, but man, the things we would disagree on, holy shit, it would be just a fucking brutal podcast to listen to. I would say that a lot of people would probably tune out. They probably wouldn't like it. Some people would, but a lot of people wouldn't. Oh, I'm not going to comment on the French vote theft. I appreciate the €2 or £2. Yeah, £2. Sorry, but yeah, I'm not really going to get into that. As far as I can tell, Le Pen lost, and that's all there is to it. Uh, so it's up to the French what they're going to do with their own fucking issues in that regard. You know, it's their republic for at least now until until it becomes like I don't know, Francistan or something to that effect. You know, until the fucking Muslims take over, if they don't change, which they really have to. I mean, once you have military on the streets, bro, like you're kind of in a bad spot, and anything past that point is pretty much your country entering like a failed state. Oh, by the way, that's another thing I can mention. Someone talked about me going on someone's show. I've been pressuring Sargon to go on Alex Jones's show, and I will encourage everyone here, as I have elsewhere, to go on Twitter, go on YouTube, wherever you can get a hold of Sargon, and spam him and say you need to do Alex Jones's show, because I'm telling you now that if you do not spam him, he will cuck. He will back out. He won't do it. So go on Twitter, go on YouTube. If you want to see Sargon on Alex Jones's show, and I genuinely want him to go on that show. I honestly think it would be an awesome conversation. I think they both have fun. I think Sargon's just being a pussy about it because he doesn't really want to do it. He wants to do some other fucking shit post video, you know, or he wants to play Ark. Spam him out of his lazy stupor and get him on there, because I think it would be an awesome conversation. The French Islamic Caliphate, yeah, pretty much. No, he won't. If people put enough pressure on him, he won't cuck. He'll do it. I'm telling you that. If people put pressure on him to do it, he'll do it. Yeah, well, I assume that's actually, I don't know if that's undoomed or not, because he doesn't have a check next to his name, so I'm going to defer and say it isn't. But to answer the fake imposter undoomed, Sargon says certain things, and then he does certain things. So if you want him to do it, you have to pressure him to do it. So that's the only way that he's actually going to do it, is if people put pressure on him to do it. I don't believe you. Why don't... Here, I'm going to click in your fucking... Or maybe I can't. No. I can't check to see if that actually is you, unfortunately. I figured you'd have a check, because you're a big enough channel to have a check, so that's why I think you're a fucking fraud. Let's see here. I saw a question. Hang on a second. Fucking... What do you think about all the rationalist skeptics on Twitter and YouTube? Looks like another atheism plus. I would say that most of that is people blowing up some community that I don't really think exists. I find it very hard to understand what people say or what they mean when they say rational skeptics on YouTube. As far as I know, there's a lot of lumping in of Sargon, and it makes no sense to me when they say that. The criticisms that they make are not accurate to Sargon in any way, from what I've seen. So I just don't get the criticism. It's hard for me to enter into the ballyhoo of mocking a straw man. But in relation to Armored Skeptic, why not just say Armored Skeptic? Why do you have to say the rationalist skeptics on YouTube, blah, blah, blah? Just Armored Skeptic. You know, that's all you have to say. And it seems to me that a lot of people are intentionally harsh towards him just because, and in my opinion, it's because he's a soft target. You know, I don't watch his channel. I don't particularly like his brand. You know, I'm not saying that I don't like the guy. I'm just saying that I just don't care about the brand. I don't care about the persona. It just doesn't interest me, and I don't like his style. So that's all there really is to it. But, you know, if you're going to call a guy out and say like, oh, you know, I fucking hate Armored Skeptic, I think he's crap. Well, just say Armored Skeptic. Why do you got to say the skeptic community, blah, 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 all this other shit? Just say Armored Skeptic. But outside of him, I don't know who anyone's talking about. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. The skeptic community, in terms of there's this, you know, deluge of fucking skeptic. I've seen people say that Naked Ape is a skeptic. And it's like, what? What are you fucking talking about? Like, the guy does like a pithy commentary channel from a rather right-wing or right-leaning position. He's a commentator. Like, what are you talking about? He's not going around debunking religion and shit. It's pithy commentaries. Like, what are you talking about? So, I don't know. When people say that atheism or skepticism shit or the rationalism shit, I legitimately don't know who they're talking about. And the examples that I've seen firsthand don't make any sense to me. That's my commentary on it. So let me catch up with the chat to see what anyone has said about that. Well, I mean, the thing is that if you say to yourself, not say to yourself, if you say on your channel in any video, I'm a skeptic, I'm skeptical, I use skepticism, I'm skeptically minded, does that then place you in some sort of box where any criticism that is true of Armored Skeptic is then applicable to you? Because that's the issue I see here, is when people make these criticisms, they tend to be accurate for Armored Skeptic, but not applicable to, from what I can see, anyone else. But they don't make that kind of delineation in any way. They just broad brush this generally, where it literally, it's not even just a matter of a straw man. It's something where I can't even make sense of what you're talking about. It's an incoherent position. I just don't understand what you're even saying. So I've avoided the whole fucking thing because I don't understand what it is. I don't get it. Maybe someone needs to sit down with me at some point and just explain it to me, but it doesn't make any sense. Do I like Naked Ape? Yeah, I'm subscribed to him. I've hung out with him, I believe, twice or maybe 3 times. You know, I think he's a cool dude. I like his channel. I don't always agree with him. I can appreciate what he does with his channel and all that. It's why I watch it. So I don't mind him. I've seen people say that they don't like him, but, you know, feel free, whatever. You know, plenty of people don't like me. I don't care. It's what people are interested in. I've had people say to me that I've had one person at least, probably a few, but I've had at least one person say to me that they are an avid fan of Colin Moriarty and of myself. And it's like, I can't get that. I can't get how you can actually like that guy's style, where I can't stand his style. I can't listen to him. I think he's just insufferable. But to say that you like him and me, it's like, okay, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, I will say you have shit taste if you like me. But, you know, I can't really speak to what you listen to. You know, we all listen to our own thing. We all, like, some people, including Sargon, really like, oh God, what's his name? Razor Fist. And I've said this before, that I just can't get into it. I just can't enjoy his commentary style. I just can't. But I've seen plenty of people say they love his commentary style. So that's just, in my opinion, the difference. So let me catch up to the chat. I've never been on Lefty Poll. Someone asked if I've been on there. I've never been on Lefty Poll. I don't go on 4chan. I don't go on there. I haven't been on in 4chan in I've never I never had an account or browsed it at length. Really, I went on there because people linked me to it and that. But I haven't been on 4chan at all, probably in like 3 years. Like not even clicked a link, nothing, because I don't go on there. It's nothing against it or anything, but it's just it doesn't interest me. I barely go on Reddit, so there's no reason for me to go there other than information that people find and dig up and all that. Sargon loves going through all that shit. I don't really care. When are you going to become a Kekistani? I already am a Kekistani. And I'm just going to say this right now. Anyone that is in this stream, or watching it rather, or listening, if you are not a Kekistani, you need to get the fuck out. Get the fuck out now. No normies. Only Kekistanis allowed. And yes, I do have the right to discriminate in this fucking chat. It's fucking. One of these days, I gotta figure out how to use the chat better than how I am now. Least favorite Mass Effect androgyny character, and tell us why. Least favorite. Oh man, it's like I butchered the quote, but it's by oh my god, I'm blank here. Let me look it up. Let me look it up and I'll share it with you. It's a little bit wonkish, but let me see if I can find the exact moment that I want to cite, because I can't remember where she says it. But here, I'll put it up here. I think this is one of her best quotes. Let me share my screen. So sorry, you're gonna hear this through the microphone, but it's the best I can do.
The more I see, the less I think.
There we go. Let's start this over.
What do I think of?
Oh, I'm not presenting. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that.
What do I think of President Reagan? The best answer to give would be, but I don't think of him. And the more I see, the less I think. I did not vote for him, nor for anyone else. And events seem to justify me.
All right, that's all I'll play. But yeah, that's Ayn Rand in the 80s commenting on Ronald Reagan. And I love that quote, that I don't think of him, and that the more I think, the less I think of him, or however it was said. But yeah, I thought that was a really great quote for, how when you think of something so little that anytime you even consider it, that you just think of it even less in terms of just overall respect or in any concern. It's just, I thought that was a perfect response. And that would be just as it relates to characters in Mass Effect, like especially in Andromeda. It's just like, I don't think about them, and if I do, it's like it just makes me understand. Like, yeah, there's really nothing here to even consider. It's just not worth even discussing. So yeah, there are no good characters in that game. There's just characters that are mediocre and less so mediocre. Like there's no characters I hate. Let me follow up. Yeah, Lacey Green being around. I've already pointed that out to people, that it's just someone looking for money. That's all it is. Once you realize it's dried up and the ground shifted underneath your feet, you need to fucking move before it's too late. That's the only thing. That's my opinion, Lisa Green. Just not worth considering. Just an opportunist looking for money. Let's see here. Thoughts on Jordan Peterson? I've already said it before. I think that he's pretty brilliant in explaining social justice and this new brand of like Marxist academia and that. I think that honestly, that's probably one of the most articulate responses that he's ever given. I think I posted that video, or maybe I didn't, or at least a part of it where he explains it. And I've quoted him before, at least poorly, where it's just continual fracturing of subgroups. That to me is one of the best explanations for it. That it's just a I don't know if he used the word or not, but it's like a cell or something like that that's decaying and collapsing. It's like that. It's burning and collapsing, and eventually it's just going to burn out, and there's going to be nothing left. And I think that's going to be the case. That eventually it's going to. Well, yeah, there are things that he's said about religion and that where I don't agree with him. He gets a little bit too fucking crazy, out there, abstract. I had a philosophy professor that was defensive of religion, and in that same light, just when you start talking about something concrete, they'll blow it up into an abstract, and they want to keep it there for the sake of defending it. And he does that. I've seen him do that. So I would say that on religion, him and I don't agree. I have Undoomed asking, what do I think about the FBI Trump situation? So if you were to ask me what my opinion is of the whole Russia thing, you've seen me, if you follow me on Twitter, I've posted about it being a crock of shit and just being a means for the Democratic Party to not address the fact that they lost poorly in the last election and they're avoiding doing an autopsy. I continue to believe that is the case. In firing Comey, there's a question of whether the guy stepped on toes, and there are sources that say he did. And then there is the matter of the one-upsmanship on the Democrats, because the Democrats have been screeching autistically, to have Comey removed forever and ever and ever. They've been screeching for that to happen. And then Trump comes in, does it. And now what are they doing? They flipped completely. And that was one of the videos that Trump posted, was just of Democrat after Democrat after Democrat after Democrat screaming that Comey needed to go. And he did it. So in my opinion, is it him, basically entering into, this position as an autocrat ready to take down democracy in America? No. As far as I can tell, Comey stepped on toes. And he was not playing favorites for either side, but he was out there doing things. So, unfortunately for Comey, he didn't politic in the right way, as far as I can tell, and so now he's gone for that reason. And I'm sure that Trump is going to put someone else in there that is going to be more likely to play ball with him and follow through more on conservative, standard conservative sort of lines that you would expect. That's been one of the unfortunate things, is that the standard kind of anti-weed, more prohibitionist angle as it relates to criminal justice, that has come back into favor due to the fact that under Obama, it never really went away. He never really got rid of the prohibitionist angle. And I think under Obama, it was because there's too much money. With conservatives, I think that it's a mixture of money and ideology. But with Obama, it seemed to be just pure either weakness or money. Pharmaceuticals paying us off, while no legalized weed. And we're still going to harass you and raid shit and all that. When money's involved, that's usually the modus operandi for the fucking Democrats. If there's no money, then they'll do it. If there is money involved, then they're not going to do shit. Let's see here. For those just tuning in, I am correct about BioWare. That is the premise of this article, this stream is now just gone, to other issues. but it is about how BioWare is not doing well. But we could wrap things up, even though I've actually have a decent, for my channel, to have 300 people watching me, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. Oh, and I'll say again, I just posted a video, the Khan Moriarty rant. So you can feel free to watch that instead of this, because I'm not doing shit here. And also, as I said already, be sure to get on Twitter or anywhere you're on social media and pressure Sargon to go on Alex Jones. If you do not pressure him, he will not go on it. If you say, no, he'll do it, no, you're wrong. You have to pressure him or he's not going to do it. And I am dead sure of that. So be sure to get out there and tell Sargon to go on Alex Jones, or 1776 will fail to commence, as I told him. Let me get caught up with... Oh, someone said talk about weeb shit. Okay. I just bought the other day Chrono Clock, which is a visual novel to which I'm not really sure of the popularity of it, unlike others that I've purchased. But so far, it's kind of eh. I have to say that I dig some of the characters in terms of the waifus in it. You have the incestuous siscon. You have a sister who's infatuated with you, your character. You have a tsundere, who's a rich girl. You have a sort of like vanilla girl, and you have the daughter of a gangster, Yakuza. So those are the, and then you have the, it's like a goddess, but that's an unlockable route that I don't have. Kind of mixed so far. I actually did the full route for the siscon angle, and I was actually disappointed. I was kind of like, wow, this is kind of fucking overbearing. I do like a romance. I do like a story. I don't mind the siscon angle. It's kind of fucking overbearing. I'm not really into it. Kind of boring. Kind of Didn't really fly. Didn't really work. Didn't really enjoy it. And I liked the character too. And I still said, you know what? I like this character. I didn't like the writing. It could have been a little less overbearing. Could have been a little less pretentious, and it was. Just got a super chat. Was there anything to that? Keep on going. That love your content. Thanks. You can always just ask a question if you're going to do super chat shit. But I appreciate the money. Appreciate that. Oh, someone asked me to comment on Nikopara Volume 3. I actually have, and I've talked to, I believe, Uzulu about this, where we both, from what I understand, have ethical questions, moral quandaries about cat girls in that game. It's a bit creepy, at least for us. And maybe I'll just say for me, because I can't quite remember our whole conversation, but I think we both agreed that we started seriously questioning the ethics of that game, where you have seemingly below average intelligence cat girls that are just, they're not on par with the human intellect, and they are more than willing to sleep with you. And it's kind of, it raises some questions in my mind. If I'm not going to begrudge anyone if they fall in love, so to say, with somebody that is developmentally disabled, but I don't know. It just seems to me that you're taking advantage of animals, and I'm not into that. I have serious moral questions about that. I have hang-ups about that. So I'm not really a fan of Nikopara for that reason, as weird as it sounds. Coming from someone that's played rape games. I don't know why. I don't know why. When I played the first volume, and I didn't finish it. I can't remember. I probably got a quarter of the way through it, and I just said to myself, like, I'm just not into this. Like, as I'm playing through it, I'm like, a couple of these the cat girls, like, I don't even mind, but it's just like I have such a fucking question in my mind. Is like, is this morally wrong? Am I actually taking advantage of the species of sort of lesser humans, human cat hybrids that have like a lesser intellect, am I taking advantage of them? And I just couldn't get past that moral question, so I quit the game. And I mean that. I mean that genuinely. As funny as that sounds and petty and stupid compared to the other games that I've played, I just couldn't get past it. It was such a fucking huge hang up for me that I just said I had to fucking stop. So yeah, that's as weird as that is, it's true. I'm trying to remember if I've played anything else as of late that I could mention. I've played a few visual novels that were bad. So those are unfortunately not worth mentioning. Chrono Clock is not bad. Now I've yet to play through the different routes entirely. I played through the Syscon route. That one I do not approve of just because it was bad. But let me see here. Would it take? What would it take to overhaul BioWare into something decent? There's not anything they could do about it. There's nothing. Close it. I've already said that multiple times. Yes, the cat girls are retarded, essentially. I will moralize about it. Like I said, and the thing is, too, I see people are tuning out. I've lost like fucking 40 and counting fucking people listening to this. It's like, oh my God, he's talking about this shit. I'm out. I destroy my own stream. You know, it's time to talk about some fucking visual novels. And people are like, all right, that's enough for me. They click off. Literally 40 people tuned out. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And that's the thing. I say that comment in the video that I just uploaded, that I had people say, despite the fact that he's a fucking weeb, he's not bad. Oh, that's hilarious. Lowly Down syndrome cat girls. That is more accurate than you would think. I've had a bunch of people ask me if I would go on Kraut and Tease and Naked Apes podcast. I don't even know where it is. I don't even know. I follow both of their channels. I don't know where it is. So I'd have to watch some of it before I'd go on it because I don't know where it is. Time to talk about this is a quote by oh shit, hold on, the chat just went up. Hang on. Muv Fuggin ZX10R. Time to talk about the morals of VNs. Fucking gone. Yep, that's true. That's true. That's exactly what happened. I'm dead. I watched it happen. That's dead serious. Dude, I know what the fucking name of the podcast is. I just don't know where it is. I guess is it its own channel called the Western Front? You know, I'd have to look it up. Okay, so Craig Hayden, thank you for the 5 pounds. Asks, is there any good games coming out this year for you? Because I ain't bought shit this year. It's all generic shitty sequels like Call of Duty and shit. I mean, Call of Duty is really one of the only games that I see in the foreseeable future that I'd be willing to play. Nothing that's really on my radar outside of like different visual novels and bullshit like that on my end. Actually, let me check my phone. I keep a list and there's probably nothing on it, but let me double check it just to make sure. You have Nier Automata on there that I have it saved on my Steam profile. I just haven't bought it. Let me see here. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. I have that pre-ordered. Whether that's going to be good or bad or not. No, and so yeah, literally nothing else. I have Persona 5 on there, but I didn't buy it, and I probably won't. I haven't really heard enough about it. I've seen people do like waifu shit. I've seen people do memes about it. That like the reticle meme when you're choosing your abilities. I like that. That looked pretty funny, and I could recognize exactly what it was. But outside of the memes, I haven't really seen people. I've seen people lavish Nier Automata with praise, so I have a good feeling that that's probably a good game, and I probably would enjoy it. I've seen a lot of people say it's a good game. But in terms of Persona 5, just you know what I mean? Just, you know, I haven't played any of the others, or I play them, but I haven't been able to beat them. So it's like, do I really want to go through the effort of buying another $60 or however much fucking game and not finish it? Do I really want to do it? Is there any moral quandary with traps? No, I would say no. It's just whether you're into it or not. I get that that's a meme, though. I understand that pre-ordering is a bad thing, and it's the only game that I have pre-ordered. You know, it's literally the only thing I got. So, and it's because I looked at enough of what I saw, and I said to myself, I couldn't get into the previous one they had done with South Park, but I said to myself, I like the superhero aspect of this enough to where they will parody, and I do think that if there's anything out there that needs the piss taken out of it, it is the superhero movies. And so, yeah, you know, I figured why not just pre-ordered it. It was only, I think it was only like $50 too. So I thought to myself, you know, I'll enjoy it. It should be good, and I'll be able to get into this more than the last one. I hope at least. And we'll see how it goes. I think I'll like it. SysCon and Lolicon also unethical. No, I wouldn't say so, because Lolicon depends on the age to where it can become morally questionable. SysCon is not, because it involves two people that are willing, despite how gross it may be. So long as you have two fully aware, consenting adults, you know, it's fine. And that's the problem with that one. Red Pill me on FLQ. Why do they deserve a game? That's by Sam Petreet. You're going to have to rephrase that. I don't know what you mean by FLQ. Red Dead 2 out the end of the year. I don't think it's going to come out at the end of this year. I think it's going to get delayed. But yeah, I didn't play. Oh no, I did play a portion of the first Red Dead. I don't believe I even owned the game. I think I was over a friend's house when I played it. I liked it, but I wasn't necessarily into it, and you know, I didn't buy it. If any game I would like to see from fucking Rockstar, it's either Grand Theft Auto 6 set in Vice City with Tommy Vercetti's daughter as one of the main characters. I've talked about that in the past, but that would be a fantasy of mine, would be talking about the millennial generation, lampooning it in Vice City. Because Ontario, or is it Ontario? Or Miami, rather. That is very rich, very bourgeois, very millennial heavy, very, you know, obnoxious. I think it would be a great game. I think they haven't done that yet. They haven't really taken on the millennial generation and just lampooned it. And I think they should. I think they should. And I'm a millennial. I think we deserve it. And I think it would be an awesome game. And I think that would be a great aspect. And it would be a great way, because the reason why I say Tommy Vercetti's daughter, even though they don't want to admit the previous iterations of the games, they've been doing everything that they can to avoid, other than Easter egg bullshit, is that the fact that you have to, like, it builds on the existing history, but also it actually plays on the concept of someone that, unlike Tommy, has been born into wealth and power, and yet actually has to understand that, like, they are a fucking psychopath. And I think that they did do some of that with Michael in Grand Theft Auto 5. There was a decent amount of criticism there that it actually was pretty deep in terms of a dysfunctional psychopath, but it is because that, you know, he's a shark that needs to continue swimming, and that's the problem, is that he's just not violent enough. And when he is violent, he actually becomes more competent and more stable and happier, even though he gets angry in that. It really is. It's just the fact that he's bored and he's a psychopath and he's attracted to chaos and violence. I thought Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of the best written games in my lifetime. I'll say that. Of the modern era games, it's one of the fucking absolute best, despite being banned from Grand Theft Auto Online. And my anger, and I've done a video on that. Despite that, I still think Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the best games I've ever fucking played. Just brilliantly written and awesome. Beautiful game in terms of the stylization. Brilliant. So, yeah. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm not saying no to, because it is a Rockstar game. So don't assume that that's what I'm saying. I haven't been into the franchise. So, you know, it's just a matter of, like, I can't just say yes, absolutely, because I haven't been into it, so. Okay, fucking chat, goddamn. Oops. Yeah, I one of these days I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this chat with a better. I am 26. I will be 27 in June. Oh, actually, you know what? People didn't ask me about this. I saw people talking about this online, but this is actually somewhat topical. Was that there was a ton of social justice crap crammed into Prey, and no one's really talked about that. There's a lot of forced diversity in that game. There's a lot. But I've actually debated it with people to say that it's not that bad. It's not that in your face, with the exception of the fact that like 90% of the couples on Talos 1 are lesbian couples, and I'm not even exaggerating. Everyone, including the protagonist, the main character, if you play as a female, everyone's a lesbian. Everyone's a lesbian couple. You know, it's crazy and it's forced. When you notice it to such a depth where it's like, okay, how many fucking lesbian couples could possibly be on one fucking contained area of like 200 people? 100 are fucking lesbians. There's only so many dykes in the world, and they can't all be on Talos 1. So this is an issue. I don't mind that the protagonist is a lesbian. I think it added to the game, because that was actually the mission that flipped me, because I went into Prey wanting to be a villainous character. And unfortunately, I just basically got convinced by the story that, you know what, I'm just going to play as a hero because I don't like what's happening. I don't like the fact that a certain somebody within the game that's higher up betrays your brother. So your brother's made out to be the bad guy, but it's like he then gets betrayed. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to then turn and help my brother because fuck this. Fuck this. I'm getting backstabbed too. So I'm just going to help my brother, even though he's made out to be the bad guy. I'm going to help the people that are there that are being controlled by the telepaths. I'm just going to save them. Because I have the ability, I'm just going to use it. I'm going to save him. I'm going to kill the telepath, and that's all there is to it. I don't have to be deliberately violent when I don't need to. And with your girlfriend in the game, I decided, or your ex rather, she's there. She needs help. And every step of the way, as you're going to get her, she needs medicine, she basically reiterates again and again, you don't have to do this. Just, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But I was like, no, what? I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go save you. I'm going to go do it. I think that the game worked well enough to where it convinced me that being the bad guy isn't worth it. It's not worth being the bad guy in this game. Whereas with other games, they do justify being the bad guy. Because the shit around you, in my opinion, at least how I would reflect on the story, demands it of you. That you should be the bad guy in certain scenarios. But in this one, or it's at least more fun or more interesting. A good example of that is Infamous Second Son. I don't know how many people here have played good and evil in Infamous Second Son. Evil's far more interesting. Far, far more interesting. I enjoyed the hell out of playing Infamous Second Son as an evil character. Fun as shit. Enjoyed it all the way to the end. Great. Great story, too. I liked it. I saw people criticize it. I liked it. So let's scroll down and catch up with the chat. People agreeing about Grand Theft Auto 5. Persona 5 best diversity. None. That was Fallen Angel 2100. That said that. Good joke. When will the next AAA game feature a protagonist cuckold relationship in an approving light? I guess if you were not the cuck, but there have been games where you have been whatever the opposite of the cuck would be, the bull. Is that what it's called? You're the bull instead of the cuck. I'd have to look it up to remember, but I know there are games where you can cheat on your significant other or the waifu of that game. Got a super chat. Got a super chat by Bridget M for $5 that just says fucking weeb. And that's not true. That is not true. That is just defamation. I'm going to report. I don't give a fuck if you gave me $5. I'm reporting you right now to YouTube for defamation and harassment and bullying. Do I have an Asian girlfriend? No. The only girlfriends I've ever had have been white. But that may change in the future if I don't work myself into an early grave, because I don't even have time to fucking hang out with friends. All I do is work. But thankfully, from what it seems, I might have just a random 3-day weekend this week. They just fired the scheduling guy because he was fucking up. And that was funny enough, because I felt sorry for the guy, but he fucked me over enough times where the sympathy was kind of only so deep, or only went so far. They fired him, and then the schedule kind of evened out a little bit, even though it was still kind of fucking heavy. They're just working me. And then all of a sudden, it might change. It could change now. It could change tomorrow. It could change tomorrow at 9 o'clock at night, and I'd still have to work the next day. No exceptions. That's how my job is. And I mean that. I'm not exaggerating one iota. They could change my schedule Friday night at 9 o'clock to work on Saturday at 6 a.m. And I have no excuse. I show up. If I don't show up, I'm not even sure what happens. I'm sure I get at least 2 emails, 2 phone calls, people screaming at me. But that is my schedule. It can change at any moment, at any point of the day. And I can't do a fucking thing about it. And I've said before that, I said this on Twitter, and I mean it, that it's driving me to the position where I just want to be done. And it's not because I necessarily hate the job. I hate my manager. I like my manager a lot. My manager, not his manager, but my manager. I like my manager a lot. I think he's a great guy, very competent, knows what he's fucking doing, very nice guy, always been nice to me. And I appreciate him. And, I can only say good things about him. I can only say that. But he isn't putting my schedule the way it is. He's not sending down the bullshit, which is it's his boss who's a fucking cocksucker. It's just everyone else in the company that's making my job worse and making my life harder. And it's affecting my health. And I mean that. I have, despite exercising as much as I do, and I do exercise almost every day of the week, I'm gaining weight. How does that happen? How do you go jogging 5-6 days a week? How do you exercise 5-6 days a week and you gain weight? When you do cardio, it's not just, it's not like I'm building protein to, or, building the muscle mass to then lose it, or whatever, building fat to build the muscle mass and then lose it. What is it called? This shows how much I know about bodybuilding. It's where you thin out. I forget what it's called, but it's not that. It's just cardio, and I'm still gaining weight. How does that happen? How is that a thing? But no, it's happening, and it's because of my fucking job. My diet hasn't radically changed. It's just my life. People talking about Yuri. Space lesbians. Yes, space lesbians. There's a lot of them. Forced Lesbians is a cool band. There actually is an all-girl band in that game, and that's what I'm going to say right now. The the all-girl band in Prey is called Forced Lesbians because they actually are lesbians. They are. There's so many lesbians in that game. I can't complain that much, though. It is forced diversity for sure, but there was plenty of characters in the game I liked, and I have no complaints. Most dykes are fat and ugly. Unfortunately, I found that as it relates to, it depends on the country, I would say, in terms of lesbians and the part of the country. In America, from what I've seen, you have your fat dykes, you have fat bull dykes, excuse me. You have heavy set sort of bull dykes. Then you have thin bull dykes. And then you have sort of punk dykes. Then you have lipstick dykes. I've seen firsthand each and every one of those. I went to college. I've seen them. I've seen each of those. And I can say that, unfortunately, as it relates to the science of lesbianism, that there is a disproportionate number that are fat or fat bull dykes. Unfortunately, that is an issue. Obesity legitimately seems to be an issue with lesbians. I've seen people argue that there are actual reasons for that it has to do with self-perception and, the lack thereof, that with lesbians, they don't necessarily care about their physical appearance as much as straight women do. But at the same time, statistically speaking, there are more fat straight women than there are fat lesbians. So to criticize all lesbians as fat dykes, that's actually not true. There are more straight women that share their appearance than there are lesbians. So that is my opinion on the matter. It is unfortunate. We need to stamp out obesity in the West. We cannot have so many fucking fat cunts walking around. We gotta slim them out, because I've seen some good. Despite being dykes, I've seen some good looking ones. And the unfortunate problem is they can't go anywhere with them. That's the unfortunate part. And I actually talked to one girl when I was in college, who I suspected as being a lesbian, and she kept meeting with this girl every day after class, and she would hold hands with her. And so I figured, okay, she's either related, she's a best friend, or this girl's a dyke. And it was, well, the third option, the latter. It was, she's a dyke. And I talked to her a little bit about that, and didn't go anywhere really. Not that people would suspect me. But it just, she was okay looking too. They both were. They were both pretty thin. So, like I said, I not really sure I was going with that, but it happened. There's an anecdote for you. So is there anything else before we close this out? Because I don't think there's really much else to go on about this. Anything else? Anything else? While we're still here, before I shut her down, before this gets shut down, do I get pussy? Not really. I've been pretty bad on that front since the end of college. And pretty much beginning of college, yes. End of college, no. So it's unfortunate. My job doesn't help, for fucking sure. It doesn't. But someday. Here's another quote by Fallen Angel 2100. Import, in all caps, import horny Jap girls into the West. Fuck the Muslim refugees. 100%. That fucking, the okay sign, 100% crying emoji, 100% behind you, bro. I'm not answering that fucking question. I've already said what my job is. I am an insurance investigator. That is my job. I don't do just that, but that is, for lack of a better way to phrase it. Because when I say private investigator, people get the wrong idea. They think that I'm independent, but no, I actually work for a very large agency. Agency, and yeah, the job itself is not bad. It's just the hours are just ridiculous. Yeah, they really are ridiculous. Like, I feel I say this to people, that my job works me like a fucking farmyard animal, and it is true. They literally work me fucking 7 days a week. It's ridiculous. I don't know anyone that works as many. I know someone that works for a bank, low level at a bank, and they work like 60 hours a week. I work more than them. They only work 6 days a week. I work 7. It's ridiculous. And they just did it to me too. And I was going to do like a whole rant video on it, just, talking about my job, but I said I can't do it because people will just tune out, because no one wants to hear you bitch about your job. Everyone has a fucking shitty job. But I was going to complain about the fact that they literally just at one point took away one of my days off. Like, it used to be I would work 6 days, then a day off, then 5 days and 2 days off. That used to be my standard days. And what they call these days are just PTO days, personal time off days. At some point, unbeknownst to me, completely, no one told me this, they took away that day. So now it's 14 days on, 2 days off. That's my schedule. And no one told me about it. And now, as we're heading in, and I just got the email today, and I knew it was coming, that we're heading into the summer. And the summer for our agency is the busy time of the year. And it's like, listen, okay, you're going to be working me 14 fucking days straight on hard cases where they might double up cases certain days, where I might be working 12-hour days at a minimum, where they're working double cases. And it's like, you're doing that to me potentially for 7 straight days and then another fucking 5. And that's how you want to run this. That's how you want to do this. You want to work me until I fucking quit. And I don't say that again as someone that says, I hate what I do. I hate the job itself. I hate my manager. None of that's true. It's just the scheduling that is fucking abysmal. It's the worst I've ever had. But that's the job. So, yeah. I'll leave it there because I don't want to fucking sit here bitching about my fucking job. I don't want to do that. That's tedious. Anything else? What did I want to be when I was younger? When I was the only time I ever really knew was when I was about 5 or 6, and I wanted to be a lawyer. And then after that, I wanted to be president. But outside of that, I don't think I've really had an idea of what I wanted to be. I do have a degree in communications, so me doing this is not all that much of a surprise, I would say. I've always had a very strong urge to speak into a microphone and have people listen to me. That's always been there. But is that a job? Not at this point. I've always viewed you this is a quote by B-. I've always viewed you as a 1940 PI, but as a fucking weave. I mean, you're not wrong exactly. I can say that there's not really much of a difference, although with most people's depictions of PIs, they are independent. And there are independent PIs for sure, but that's actually really expensive, and there's an unbelievable amount of regulation for being a private investigator. So if you say to yourself you want to be one, you're going to wind up working for an agency sooner or later. I've talked to people that are like 20-year veterans that have all said they do not regret for a second joining an agency because they hated being independent. So unfortunately, being a private investigator has been pretty much regulated out of existence. That is one place where you can point your finger at the courts and the government for basically regulating a job out of existence as being a private investigator. And there is genuine demand for it. It's just that there's so much paperwork and money and just stress involved with just handling what you need to do to be one, and licensing. It's way harder to get an independent license than just to work for an agency. Way, way harder. All right, we'll do one more question, and we'll go. This is the lightning round. One more question, then I'm out of here. Would I say that I'm overweight? Very slightly overweight. From my position, and I don't like to be overweight, so I would say that I'm slightly overweight at this point. By probably, my goal would be 15 to lose 15. I would say I'm about 10 pounds overweight. What I need to do is start getting some muscle mass, and that's only going to happen this summer when I start lifting weights. I don't lift weights during the winter. It's too fucked up. I like to do it outside. Maybe that's me being weird, though. Colin left a comment on your rant video. Did you see it? I don't believe that. I didn't chill for this stream. Would I fuck Blair White? As far as I know, she has a boyfriend. That's my political answer. Single payer. I assume that's a question of it. I would support the public option, and if that fails, then go with single payer. Yes. Also, again, watch my video that I just uploaded and spam Sargon to go on Alex Jones. Again, one more genuine question, guys. Come on. Run out of time. One more genuine question, then we're going. Then we're done. What is my hairstyle? Buzz cut. If there are two conservatives in a room, will the Southern Poverty Law Center declare them a hate group? Likely, yes. And that is by DACA. That's not a genuine question, though. No, he didn't. I'll go look after this. I'll go look. Okay, so all right. I'm almost out of time here. No, I'm not a MGTOW. I'm not against people doing their own thing. I'm not speaking ill of people that are MGTOWs or whatever, but I'm not a MGTOW, no. Oh, so this is going to be the final question by Video Culture Replay Blog. What kind of things do you want to see someone do when it comes to being like how Angry Joe used to be in my last video? So Angry Joe used to show up at conventions. He did it at least twice, I want to say. He might have done it more than that, but he used to show up at conventions. Fuck, I just lost a comment. But he used to show up at conventions and he'd stick a microphone in people's faces and ask them hard questions. I saw him do it with Dorito Pope more than once. I saw him do it with at least 2 developers. And you know, that is something that needs to happen. You need more, you need people at IGN, you need people at all these different outlets, or even independents, to just show up, ask somebody at EA, why do all your games have microtransactions? Why do you insist on this being a thing? What benefit does it actually add to the game? You know, do you think that this is something that's come over from mobile gaming? Do you think this is a good thing? How do you justify it to people? Questions like that. And it's not as though that there aren't answers to those questions. It's not as though they can't justify things like microtransactions, things like day one DLC, things like pre-order bonuses and all that, even though people hate them. All it requires is for people to ask the questions genuinely, not just fucking bloviate and prop up the games. Just ask questions about the consumer protections that are at risk. The fact that all these different games have come out that have had all these bugs, for example, Mass Effect Andromeda with its animation issues, no one followed up with any kind of real questions. No one really asked, like, listen, you've had this game for 5 fucking years. You know, you don't have to phrase it as strongly as I'm putting it, but you've been developing this for 5 years, and even your own trailers showcase this as having clear issues. And you think that this is ready to release now? Like, what's going on in your company where you think that this is fine? You know, and that's a hard question. It's a hard question to answer. Like, you have to justify the fact that your own trailer makes this game look terrible. You know, when there are issues, clear, evident issues that you could point to, you need someone to just show up, stick their microphone in a fucking developer's face, or reach out to them, however, and just ask the question. Ask the questions that need to be asked about what's going on in gaming. Ask the questions to agencies like the ESA for what they do and the purpose that they supposedly serve. Ask questions of them. And again, that's not me, and I don't have the time to even begin with. I don't have the time. And I'll leave it there, all right? That's what needs to happen. It's going to happen sooner or later. It needs to happen. But thank you for listening. Be sure to check out the affiliate links. Be sure to watch my video, all that. Thanks for staying by, guys. Thanks for stopping and listening to me. And enjoy the rest of your day.